came to say is to intervene and say that no, we don't want to see this volatility in the currency. Today is doing well, the next day is not doing well. It doesn't even help the economy as a whole. Sure. So it's good that the policy, both fiscal and monetary, sit down and see how they can put measures to stabilize the performance. Now, great. On the question that you asked, whether based on trends and that we have significant depreciation of the cedi and the inflation having double digits or whatever, this time around, we didn't have major, in the past, we didn't have a lot of reforms that we are having currently. Now, when you look at what is happening, both the gold for reserve policy was not there in the past, was at the later part of the last administration that policy came to play. Also, you see an intervention like the gold board, which is to maximize our foreign exchange earnings that we made from gold. Unlike previously that it was left largely in the hands of the private sector, that led to a lot of smuggling, and we're not maximizing our gains from the foreign exchange earnings. Now, this government came into play and then have put in some institutional reforms, which is the establishment of the gold board, to make sure that we earn a lot of foreign exchange from our gold proceeds. And that will be enough to support the Bank of Ghana to mobilize enough foreign exchange to support the cedi from massive depreciating.
All right.
Now, you also see in the past that we're on the spree of excess borrowing, and the fiscal position was very expansionary. We're spending that much. When that happens, it triggers a lot of imports, and that helps. That leads to the depreciation of the cedi. So what I'm trying to say overall is that when you look at the policy interventions that we have now, you see a finance minister who is disciplined and will not want to spend that much. You know, the moment you begin to spend, a lot of people have money in their pockets. And when they have money in their pocket, the next thing, Ghanaian, as an import-dependent economy, you see a lot of imports coming in, and that may put pressure on the cedi. But this time around, you see discipline on the finance minister part of the fiscal side. You see some institutional frameworks, interventions that have been brought to the table. The emergence of the gold board and other policy measures that the monetary policy or the central government is putting in place to help achieve some stability in the forex market. So I am very confident that if this is done according to what the documents look like and according to how the plan look like, I think we will not see the sharp depreciation that we used to see, and that will help to engender some confidence in the economy, and overall you see some growth in many of the macro indicators.
Right. So in your earlier submission, you made mention of the fact that the cedi is not stable. In your opinion, what do you think the government should do to keep the cedi stable? And, going forward, what should be the changes?
What caused that? We need to reverse the things that we did earlier that caused that. That was what they did was just to support the cedi by about $1.4 billion intervention in the forex exchange market. And then the IMF came there to say that the IMF was not happy with that intervention. So what we should do is that the intervention, we can do it because Ghana, we adopt the managed float currency regime. So what we should do is that even though we should intervene, it should not be that massive that should cause the cedi to be that volatile. There's an intervention that will keep it within the range of 5% as the government, the president espoused, is what we should do. Do you understand? Do you understand? So we should not support the cedi to the extent that it will lead to massive volatilities like that. Also, we need to control the black markets where they don't do things according to regulation. That may destabilize. You see prices in forex bureaus being widely different from what the interbank market is. So the central bank must enforce its regulation and supervision in the black market to make sure that there's some correlation between those that operate in the black market or those that operate in the forex bureau market and the interbank market. Though that can help pull the rates closer to the interbank market so that we don't see that wide depreciation or wide gap in the margins. So the expectation is that they shouldn't be intervening too much. Policy coherence should be there to support whatever stability we will need as an economy.
All right. So still on the cedi depreciation, as we stated earlier, should in case or if Ghana is able to achieve that 5% depreciation, won't it, be as a cost to the ordinary Ghanaian? Let's say in their everyday activities. Let's say if an item costs like 1,000 Ghana cedis, won't the price shoot to, let's say, 1,200 or 1,300 instead of maybe 1,050?
Yeah, that's great. It's good. What you don't see, indeed, a 5% depreciation or any currency impact on prices.
Yeah.
All right. So I can understand where you are pulling me to.
Yeah.
Now, but you do not expect a developing economy, particularly at the stage that we are, which we are more import driven in the short term. This conversation, in the short term, you cannot achieve a very appreciation of the cedi coming back from 14 to 6 or 2. We cannot achieve that as an economy in the short term. In the medium term, where we are able to add value to our exports, diversify the economy in all major crops and major produce, and in also earning a lot from other natural resources, that's when you could say that because we should see the currency being appreciating more, and then we don't see that 5% depreciation that you see. But in the short term, where we have not diversified the economy, or we've not diversified our export earnings, in the short term, a 5% depreciation is within the band. All right, a 5% depreciation is largely stable for any economy, and that will be defined by the IMF and even the World Bank as one that the cedi is performing well, even though price is downward sticky. Prices of items do not go down; they actually come up. I guess we don't. So it will be difficult to say that you expect prices to go down. But what you want to see is that the rate of increase in the price is very it's very small, it's insignificant to impact the lives of the people.
Okay. Right. So I want us to go to the credibility and confidence of our currency.
Yeah.
Still on the 5%. Is it going to hurt, or it's kind of going to help in terms of credibility and then in terms of confidence level?
No, I think it's rather help.
Okay.
It rather builds credibility and confidence.
Okay.
You see, as I rightly said earlier, the state of your economy or the stage of the economy determines what will happen. Ghana have not transitioned from an import-dependent economy. We are largely dependent on import. Now, what we can do to largely reduce the excess demand or to be able to support the excess demand for import is to make sure that we support that with the supply of foreign exchange. Okay. In the short term, if government of Ghana go back to the international capital market after we've been able to discharge our DDP obligations and we are able to go back to the capital market, you foresee that we'll earn a lot of foreign exchange, not from our export of gold and cocoa and other minerals. You see us also earning foreign exchange from the borrowings we're making on the international capital market. And that can support the policy framework that the government will want to work within. Actually, Bank of Ghana sets +2%, +2 or -2 depreciation. But I'm saying that we shouldn't take what the president said. The president is not a technical person.
Sure.
What he's trying to say is that you will not see, he was trying to say that you will not see a massive depreciation or appreciation of the cedi. You see some incident level of depreciation just within a band that can facilitate proper planning. So for me, and that is a good thing to do for any economy. You do not expect that prices will come down, and you don't expect that any currency based on trends. Ghana has never had a trend where sustainably the cedi has been appreciating against the major international trading currencies. Actually, what you see is that the rates actually depreciate. But how do you measure an economy doing well? You measure this currency by the rate of depreciation. And at 5% rate of depreciation, if I should take what the president said, is within appropriate context.
Sure. And so, I mean, in as much as you said that the president meant it in a different way, and that he
but
is
we'll
not
take it as it is.
You take it as it is.
Yes.
And then, do Ghana have any chance of hitting that 5%?
Oh yes, of course, of course. You see, let me tell you what we are seeing now.
Okay.
What we are seeing now is just December is coming.
Yes.
So people are importing a lot to be able to meet their seasonal demands. So it's seasonalities. This what we are seeing is as an effect of seasonalities, and they will stabilize after this few months. Yeah. After that, we'll see the city beginning to get some strength. So I expect that the target of 5%, or the fact that the city will not depreciate, the extent to which we saw in current times, will be achieved by the current, because of the interventions that we have in place. But I would just want to throw a caution: if we begin to spend as well by the fiscal side, there are major rules that they will want to do. Yeah. If the government begin to spend together with and that meets the demand for foreign exchange for December, that may be a bit challenging. But we are reassured of the foreign earnings from cocoa, gold, and then the reserve accumulation by the central government to be able to support those demands.
Right. So my last question: should Ghana chase the 5% depreciation target, or focus on the fundamentals that are actually making the city very strong? No,
but when you said that you want to achieve the 5% target, it's because you want to make the fundamentals strong.
Great.
You are unable to just say it in the vacuum, but you have to put policy interventions in place to support that policy objective. Sure. So this foreign exchange thing is not a difficult conversation. It's actually demand and supply for forests. I need dollar. Can I get it? If the dollar is not there, then the currency will depreciate. So the question we need to ask for ourselves: what are the supply policies that the government have in place to be able to make the dollars available for those who need it for their various activities? Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that the policy framework or institutional framework of the gold board, the intervention and now the prices of cocoa, gold are very high on the international market. Yeah. We will earn more from that. You also see that the monetary policy, you see the inflation going down, but you see that they are not reducing the policy rate there because they see excess liquidity in the market, in the economy. And they are mobilizing those excess liquidity by keeping the rates very high. Yeah. So there's a committed cause by the current government to see that we are making some gains in our foreign exchange, in our external position and in our foreign exchange market. And that is what I would want them to consolidate going forward. And I'm of every hope, because of another thing is the strong coordination in terms of policy that you are seeing between the fiscal side and the monetary side. And if this strategy is able to be continued, I don't see the reason why we are not able to achieve those targets.
All right, then to my last question, just basically for education purposes. Yeah. Most people have been talking about the fact that when the cedi was depreciating, some group of people will benefit. Yeah. Once that the cedi is now appreciating too, some group of people are benefiting and others are losing. Yeah. What is the disparity between the two? And then to the ordinary Ghanaian out there, maybe the woman who sells at the Makola market and all that.
No, every economic policy has trade-offs. Right. We call them trade-offs. There are some, but you as a policymaker or the government might decide what is the equilibrium point that you'll be satisfied with. Obviously, when the cedi appreciated, that means that the amount of cedi you need to get a dollar is now lower. So importers will be happy. I get the point. Importers will be happy. Why would they be happy? Imagine that you took some goods from your supplier from London, and at the time, or US at the time, the dollar was 14. Yeah. And then he gave you credit for 3 months, and you are going to pay at the time the dollar is 10. Yeah. You see the massive gain you'll make.
Sure.
I get the point. Yeah. You see the gain, so you would have made a lot of gain. So importers will be happy, but exporter, he will receive a lower. When you convert the dollar into cedis, he doesn't need the dollars, because when he exports, he gets dollars.
Sure.
But he needs cedis to spend in the economy. Are you here with me? Yeah. So when you convert that dollars into cedis, it becomes small for him, and he will not be happy. Yeah. But export, and that will not engender production in the export sector. Sure. Because those who say, I'm not getting anything from it again. Because when I export, previously I would make 150,000, but right now I'm making 100,000 at the same quantity of items. I get the point. Yes. So, of course, exporters will not be happy, but the general populace will be happy. Because what happens is that the prices of goods and services will go down because of the reduction in the or appreciation of the cedi. Okay. So a larger population will be happy, but a segment of them too will not be happy, which are the export earnings. Yeah. So it is the point of policy. What government wants? What is the priority of government? Okay. Do you want importers and the ordinary Ghanaian to be able to gain or make some gains or savings or economic benefit as resulting from the appreciation of the cedi, or what is it a case that you also are targeting exports to earn enough from it? So there should be a balance. Okay, there should be a point that you get to, you say that at this rate of exchange, exporters will be happy, importers will be happy, and the general economy will do well. And that is what we call the trade-offs, and which the president has really mentioned that it is between you mentioned it's between 10 to 12 years. So that is for policy position where both exporters and importers and all the general other economic agents will be happy with the foreign exchange rate. Right.
So in general, so if I understand you clearly, it means that both the depreciation and appreciation of the cedi helps, but then the pace at which it occurs.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it helps, but we shouldn't see the volatility to be so much.
Great. All right, so I would like to take your final words.
Yes. I want to urge the president and his, particularly the Bank of Ghana governor and the finance minister, that the trajectory that we've started so far has been very great. The macros have been very good. You see great performance in the banking sector. Their non-performing loans has come down. You see that agric, which was not doing well previously, was a major contributor to our GDP of 5.3% in the first half of the year. You see very good confidence in the economy. You see interest rate going down. So we should continue with this trajectory. That in the first year of the administration, what we have to target is to achieve some stability, bring things down for the Ghanaian to get some relief. Those are the things we do. Then subsequently, we can then invest in growth-oriented programs that can expand the economy, create jobs for the youth, so that we can reduce the level of unemployment that we see in the economy. The private sector should thrive. Well, so those policy interventions that should support them is what I would urge the government to do. There is shortcutting for some certain rules that are expected to be constructed. Of course, in the advanced economy, we go to UK and the likes. What we see are beautiful roads, beautiful tall buildings and all that. So every economy, when the government begins to spend like that in infrastructure, it has a fiscal multiplier effect in the economy, which everyone will benefit. So that is also a good news. So we expect all the programs that are supposed to be done should be done as they are, so that we avoid those financial malfeasance. See, let me tell you, our leaders know what to do. It's just the fact that greed, and you don't need to teach them anything. They really know. There are people who have experience and have gone through professional lives. Sure. It's just that the differentiating factor is that between us and advanced economies is that the African is not particular about the development of their people. Because we are endowed with all the natural resources. If you are committed to the lives of our people, I'm not sure we'll be here. And we are just hoping that the current regime will do what is needful for the benefit of the ordinary Ghanaian.
All right. So Mr. Martin is saying government should continue on this trajectory. I've been speaking with Mr. Martin Ohene Anim on the topic cedi under pressure. Can government deliver the 5% depreciation target? Mr. Ohene Anim is PhD finance candidate, chartered financial economist, and chartered accountant. He's also managing partner of Pinnacle Legacy Partners. Thank you very much, Mr. Martin, for gracing this show.
Thank you.
All right. My name is Peter Nsi, and this is how we end the business update segment on the Kokodigest Morning Show. My name is Peter Nsi. Up next is the main segment with Clement Yabankwe. Do stay tuned.
Good morning, welcome back. This is all about the Kokodigest Morning Show, and this morning we'll be discussing about the utility tariff. ECG is proposing 225%. Ghana Water Company is also proposing over 100% increase, and there's been a lot of discussion around this very topic. Is it really going to be impactful, and is there other alternative that the ECG and the Ghana Water Company could look at other than the increasing the utility tariff so that ordinary Ghanaian could be relieved? On this very topic, the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana has released a statement that was yesterday, raising a lot of concern about this utility tariff, that if care is not taken, it will collapse a lot of businesses. It will bring a lot of unemployment in the country, Ghana, and more especially, it might affect what we know as the 24-hour economy policy that this very government wants to roll out. On this very same topic, the Bank of Ghana released a statement yesterday that it might equally affect its next monetary policy committee meeting. Likely that if all things being equal, we are going to see a change in monetary policy rates because of the proposed utility tariff increase that we are going to experience. In the studios with me this morning, I have Mr. Samuel Ato-Agre, the General Secretary of Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, and we'll also be joined in through a phone in section. That is Mr. Martin Ohen Enim, who just left the studio, so he'll be joining us through the phone in segment. Mr. Agre, good morning and welcome.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you very much.
How is Food and Beverage Association of Ghana doing?
With what is going on and what we are anticipating, it's not a palatable thing to think about. And I'm really saddened this morning, looking around how every utility aspect of the country is going up. Even fuel just increased this morning. And the effects that I anticipate that will have more effect on the ordinary Ghanaian than we are thinking of. So we hope things will be fine. We take it the way it is. But then the government policy and the assurance of making sure that Ghanaians really live a very good life is what we are expecting.
So what we're expecting is Ghanaians live a very good life from the government. But ECG raised a lot of concern that this utility tariff increment is needed so that they could be able to cater for some kind of cost that they incur in terms of distribution. Do you think that they could actually look at a different angle aside the proposed 225% in tariff?
Yeah. Thank you very much. When you look at the previous requests that ECG has made, one of the other producers who also come on board, because we are informed and well aligned that these PP partners have taken step to, or government has taken step to ensure that they run efficiently by increasing or introducing this energy levy tax of 1% on, 1 cedi on a liter. Now, this translates into almost about 5.5 cedis per gallon. Now, we expect that this money that is being taken will be well catered for, and therefore all the inefficiencies that we see in this sector will be addressed, so that that money could really be something that they can use in addressing the problems that we are facing. So efficiency is what we will be counting on. But for ECG to come at this time to ask that we should give them more money, not even 10% or 5%, but they're asking a quantum of 224% increase. So assuming this money is given to them, how much electricity are we going to buy? Those who are doing the small-scale projects, those who are doing the small businesses in their homes, the bigger manufacturing sector, especially within the food and beverage enclave, how are we going to survive? Because everything that we produce will come onto the consumer. And so if the consumer is not able to buy, then what happens to that business? So it means that that business will then have to fold up and then leave. We've experienced such phenomenon in the previous administration where taxes that we spoke about has not been addressed. The utility costs alone was going up and industry was not being catered for. And these businesses were losing money based on, because when you increase, how much can you increase? So sometimes we need to absorb some of the costs of increment. So we did that, but it's getting to a point where you realize that your profit margin, as against what you have been absorbing, cannot be catered for any longer. So we call on government to address some of these issues by tackling the taxes that we have, the nuisance that we know, and then also ensuring that they rationalize and then have a proper rate. We need to pay taxes, but how much must we pay? We need to pay our electricity. How much must we pay? So most of these businesses, realizing the effect, realize that, okay, let me then establish in other West African countries to see how best they can mitigate the losses that they are making. So most of them align with other countries by setting up certain facilities then for running parallel production in this country, sometimes even at a cheaper cost. So sometimes when it happens like that, it means that though you have your facility here, your production is lower, but then your import goes up. Okay. Because you need to bring in what you have produced on the other side of the border to bring in to augment the losses that you are making locally. So this is what is happening. And if we have to go into that, then I can just give you one example. That when you look at Guinness, you look at Coca-Cola, for instance, the things that we produce here and the things that are produced in Nigeria are far cheaper in Nigeria than in Ghana, even when we are producing. And the retail market in Nigeria is far cheaper than our production costs. You understand?
So meaning the production cost in Ghana is very expensive?
Very, very high. So they need to bring in what has been produced in Nigeria to come and then augment what they are producing here so that they can at least break even. And unfortunately, the parallel import where people smuggle a lot of this product into the country that are not being checked, is also killing the business further. So you ask yourself, what is government really doing to address these measures? And we said, look, we need to look at all these things. If nothing is being done, the smuggling ought to stop. Then we can look at internal factors. But the internal factor is the business here, which is Guinness, and business in Nigeria, which is Guinness. So if I'm bringing business from Nigeria to Ghana, what does it do? It means the same. But at the backside of it is that the company in Ghana is losing almost about 70% of their production costs. So it becomes a big problem that government needs to deal with. And we are prepared to work with them over the years, as we have been doing, to address some of these issues by bringing to the knowledge of what is happening. But then to go back to the ECG issue. Now, the previous years that they've been asking for an increase, they come to the table with the costs of the cedi, the costs of depreciation, and then the cost of fuel.
Okay.
So therefore, we need to look at it and then give them realistic rates that we need to. So anytime they go, PRC also meet them halfway of what they want. Okay. So over the years, from let me limit it. Yeah. They actually went in for asking how much, 16% or 17% or so. So if you look at the increment in May, that took effect in 1st June, and then the increment in 1st of July, that gives you almost about 17% of cost, or more than 17% increment. So they were giving this money. Then barely 2 months again, you come back and you say we should give you 224% increment. So you ask yourself, now that the cedi is appreciating, inflation gone down to almost 12%. That's 11.3 or 11 point. So these things are in place. So now when you come back to say that we should give you 220%, 24%, so that you can really make what you have to make to run your sector, then for us, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense because...
I think, Mr. Agri, let me just hold you here. Mr. Martin has joined us through phone in. And our Bank of Ghana yesterday also released a statement, as we said, and they're also raising concern about the fact that if nothing is done about this kind of utility tariff, then it's going to affect the next monetary policy, which might affect inflation, affect interest rates, and the monetary policy itself. What you are going to explain. So I would like Mr. Martin to just give us his point of view. How does he see this? In the next Monetary Policy Committee meeting, what should we expect? Is it likely that the rate is going to go high from the current 25% we experience? Is it going to go back to the 28%? Or is inflation going to remain the same? Or what are we going to expect? Good morning once again, Mr. Martin. Welcome. Hello. Okay. So I think we've lost him. We'll get back to him again. So I think you were talking.
Yeah. So when you look at all the indices that has given us, let me say, a good omen, and now you come back and you say you want 224%, then it becomes a bit of a challenge for us to contend with, because what we are looking at in the business sector is how business can survive under such circumstance. Because even with what we are grappling with, we've not addressed it. And then you come back and then impose more increments. So going forward with it, we simply do not agree that PURC should even look at it at this time. But what they need to do is to ask them what they brought before the table when the cedi was 16 cedis, 50 pesos, when inflation was almost about 35%, when fuel cost was so high. What has changed? Now, the inefficiencies on their side, where we talk of corruption, we talk of leakages, we talk of other aspects of what they need to address. Has it been addressed? If so not, then what do we have to do?
Ordinary Ghanaians shouldn't be burdened with mismanagement in ECG?
No. You see, your inefficiencies, I shouldn't pay for it. Okay. You see, somebody ought to be in charge, because we believe that if you are able to put in place the right mechanisms, you save enough money to run and make profits. If you look at the previous introduction of those tariffs, from 2022 up to 1st of July, we've given them 236% increments. Yet still, the inefficiencies are going, the leakages are going on, even higher. So you ask yourself, who is running the company that is running down such manner?
That is very interesting. So who is really running the company and who should be blamed for this kind of leakages in ECG? So as I said earlier, Mr. Martin Ohin, a name is on the line who will be giving us his analysis from the finance point of view. Bank of Ghana is now saying that they are going to flag that tariff hikes and global trade risks are among key upside risks to Ghana's inflation outlook and are shaping its thinking on the next policy rates. Mr. Martin, please, good morning once again. And how do you see the statement from Bank of Ghana in response to the proposal from ECG to increase tariff by 225%?
Yes. Thank you once again, Clement.
Hello.
Yes, Clement, can you hear me? Yeah, Clement, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah,
Okay,
Clement,
so
can
I
you hear
think
me?
we are still working on getting Mr. Martin. So yes, Mr. Martin, we can hear you. Yes, but it's very down. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
All right. Hello, Clement, can you hear me? Hello, Clement.
Okay, so
Hello?
I think we will get Mr. Martin back. We'll get him back on the line. So, sir, you were talking about Ghanaians not paying for the inefficiency in the ECG. What is the alternative? People are saying that companies are owing ECG, governments are owing ECG. Is that what they should go for?
If you look at the current trend that we have, ECG collects the money that they need to collect before they give you electricity.
Exactly.
You see, unlike before, we're doing the post-paid system, where you need to go and buy the electricity, use it for a month, and even sometimes, even 3 months, 6 months, people will not pay. And then they'll take time to pay what they have to pay. And ECG will have to borrow money to run the facility. But this time, if you look at the prepaid era, almost about 90% of the money that ECG needs are collected upfront.
Okay.
So who is taking that money that they are not able to run the system efficiently?
That's,
you see?
That's another concern.
Yes. So when you look at other things that has happened, based on other report that has in public domain, that certain aspect of their components that will take you almost about 25 years are imported into the country. But technology evolves. So when you import something today, tomorrow, if you don't have a need for it, what will happen? Because technology might change. So therefore, you need not to do such projects as it is now.
Okay.
So for want of words, the corruption that they are putting in place, importing things that they don't need immediately, by using the money that we give them to stack those projects there. They should sell them when they don't need them. Sell them, and then bring in the right equipment that you need to do your businesses. And if they put up the sector very well, and they are managing it by zonal acquisition, what will happen is that they will be able to manage it very efficiently, because you know the strength of every 100 people in one community, how much their consumption will be, what you need, and how you can plan for them in the next 2 to 5 years, how you need to improve their service, because they are paying for whatever they need to pay for. Okay. If there are leakages in the system, we need to deal with it, because we are told in the previous administration, if ECG are able to bring down the system losses that they have to even 10%, Ghana will not increase the electricity tariff for now. Understand? So what has happened? That in their era, we need to allow ECG to arbitrarily increase whatever they want.
Tariff by
they want in their way.
225%.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. In your statement, you made reference to the fact that if this is not really looked at, it's going to collapse businesses.
Yes.
And the question is, someone would ask, why would increasing utility tariff of ECG and Ghana Water affect the Food and Beverage Association? How is it going to collapse business?
You see, in all the production sectors, even including your facility here, you use electricity.
Yeah.
Now, if the cost of energy is so high, people who bring in advertisements, announcements, and all that, you will need to pay. So the cost of charging today, if it's 10 cedis, what will happen is that you are going to ask the people to pay 20 cedis or 15 cedis.
Okay.
And if they are not able to pay, what happens?
Thank you very much. So if they are not able to pay, what happens? I think we'll go for a short commercial break. Just after here, we are going to continue conversation. Just tell a friend that we are still discussing the impact of the utility tariff hikes on businesses and ordinary Ghanaians. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere. You're welcome back to the Cocoa Digest Morning Show. We are still discussing the impact of tariff hikes on businesses. And I've been doing this with Mr. Samuel Ato-Agre, the General Secretary for Food and Beverage Association of Ghana. So we are just going still on the conversation. So we're talking about the aspect of cost element. When this utility tariff goes high, it's going to have an impact on the cost element. So we want to understand how significant is that going to be?
Depending on how much they give to ECG to implement, what will happen is that industry will then have to take that, because if you remember, the last increment of 14%, a lot of them did not do any changes in their price. But then prices itself started changing or remaining where it is now because some of the taxes and utility cost that has not been dropped, but rather going up. So we're not able to adjust upwards. So those who did that absorption, what they did was that they look at the profit margin and the effect that it will have, or the impact that it will have on their businesses. So therefore, they decided not to do any increase at all.
Okay.
So with the city also gaining its value, it's rather augmented the way the costing has to be structured. So we took that into consideration and then let it go. But this time that we are asking for this quantum, assuming it is granted, then what will happen is that that 224% will translate into an increment of about 155% in cost production for electricity alone. So whatever that you are seeing on the market today, if that ECG is given that quantum, then what will happen is that production costs and the product that you buy on the market will go up 153%.
Will go about
153%.
If I'm buying an item for 50 cedis.
Yes, you can know that it will go around 85%. Or maybe 100 cities plus.
Which is reducing purchasing power for ordinary Ghanaian.
Yes.
All things being
You see, that is why we are saying, look, if you look at the income of the ordinary Ghanaian, the least who earns around 500 cedis and renting a room, paying for utility, and if God being so good on their side, having children rather becomes a burden to them because they need to pay for their children's school fees out of that same income. So when you increase electricity for that matter, what will happen is that it will not be the phenomenon of doomsday, but then people will then have to either rationalize how they are going to use their power.
Okay.
So therefore, if you have electricity that must run 24 hours, what will happen is that you need to put off certain gadgets for almost about 8 hours of the day, and then perhaps use it for maybe some few hours and then put them off. So in totality, what will happen is that you cannot enjoy the power that you are using. And those who are using it for production within the domestic area, you can just imagine what will happen. So eventually what will happen is that if you can't afford what they are producing, then eventually they need to collapse their business and then sit aloof. But
is that going to result in unemployment?
That will be, because if I'm even employing 2 people and I cannot produce to sell, what it means is that I have to lay them off. You see? And then if you bring it to the bigger area, the bigger picture for the larger manufacturers, what will happen is that when they are not able to grapple with what is going to happen, then what will happen is that they either reduce the number of staff that they have, because what is going to happen is that whatever that they produce to sell, the demand will go down because of the high costs, and therefore people will not buy. Then you look at the competition aspect of it, where people can easily reduce their price, even when they are making certain losses or certain margin, which is smaller than what they are supposed to make. So depending on the margin that they make and how many people that they can employ, then obviously what will happen is that some people may go home to give way to the survival of that business. So if they can't, what will happen is that coupled with this high taxes that we are paying already, then it means that a lot of people will be out of business. If you look at the informal sector, for instance, those who are doing the small businesses, like I said earlier, in their homes and all that, what will happen to their businesses? And then the inflation that will also come in.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I think we will come back to talk about this cold store because they normally use this electricity and the water processing companies and all these things. But we still have Mr. Martin back on the line. So we're just going to get in touch with him. Once again, Mr. Martin, good morning. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you, Clement, and thank you once again for having me.
Okay, so Mr. Martin, the discussion is still around the utility tariff that ECG is proposing 225%, and that's rated to PURC. Yesterday, BOG raised a concern that this might affect its inflationary target and equally would affect their decision in their next monetary policy committee meeting. What should we expect from the Bank of Ghana as a result of their next monetary policy committee meeting, as a result of this increment in utility tariff?
Yes. Thank you once again, Clement. You see, the overriding objective of monetary policy is to achieve price stability. Okay. So, or curb what we call inflation. Now, so any monetary policy framework should look at all upside risks that may impact inflation and put in and set the monetary policy measures and its tools in a manner that should be able to deal with the inflation that they are expecting in the short to medium term. So the monetary policy rate should be one that should be able to reflect what the inflation position will be in the short to medium term. And in doing that, monetary policy authorities look at the upside risk that has the potential of leading to inflationary pressures. So when you look at that, they are looking at development in the global economy, such as geopolitical issues that may disrupt the supply chain and then may trigger inflation in the Ghanaian economy. For example, if there is a war between Israel and whatever, and then vessels that come to oil-producing countries are not able to use routes that are able to supply petroleum products to Africa, that may lead to increase in petroleum products, and that can trigger inflation from the demand side. From the supply side. So monetary policy largely tackle demand side of inflation. But while they are doing that, they look at the supply side effect and what are the upside risks that may emerge. And in doing that, that guides them in whether to bring down the monetary policy rate or continue to peg it at the current rate or even hike it to tackle inflationary pressures that they foresee into the short to medium term. So that is what it is. The overriding objective of monetary policy is to achieve price stability or curb inflation. But in doing that, there are tools that the central government used to achieve the overriding objective of price stability. To do that, one of the tools they use is the policy rate. Now, the policy rate is used to mobilize excess liquidity in the banking space, so that on the demand side they can reduce the demand pressures that can trigger inflation. So that anything that may come in from the supply side, the effect
I think we are still working on getting back Mr.
Martin the demand side, by hiking the policy rate, they can mobilize excess liquidity. So what the central bank is trying to say is that in determining the policy rate, they are guided by potential upside risks, which is one, the high utilities that has the potential of leading to inflation and development in the global world, which are the geopolitical risks that they foresee. So, and that is just to guide their policy decisions that they will be making on their MPC meeting now.
Okay. So on that note, do you think that the proposed 225% increment in utility tariff from the ECG is going to or could affect the rise in inflation? Are you going to see the impact on inflation?
Of course, utility are input costs of production, so definitely when the increase in utility tariffs, it may trigger it may cause cost of production to be high and may trigger inflationary measures, especially on the supply side. So monetary policy will not want demand side to also worsen the case. So they will try to pull demand side down a bit by mobilizing excess liquidity. And then so what in effect what the central government is trying to say is that the hike in utility tariff, potential hike in utility tariff may affect their inflationary targeting framework. Yeah. And in doing that, when they are setting their policy rate, they should take that into recognition and set a policy rate that will be reflective of potential inflationary pressures so that the country does not continue to have a high rate of inflation.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you think it's likely, are we going to see increment in the monetary policy rate? Is interest rates also going to be high as a result of this utility tariff?
I foresee a reduction. But,
you foresee
because
a reduction?
You see the inflation, we have been on a deflationary trend. So the expectation is that if inflation is coming down, the last report by the Ghana Statistical Service, I think the inflation came down to some good number. So the expectation is that if inflation is going down, then monetary policy should be coming out to reflect that position of the economy.
Thank you so much for the submission. I want to bring in Mr. Samuel Ato-Aggrey quickly before I get. I think Mr. Martin said he foresee a decrease in monetary policy rates.
Yes.
From your side, do you see?
You see, in other jurisdictions, when inflation goes down, policy rate also goes down. But as he said, he foresee it going down further. It's true. If the trend which we see now is going to continue, then obviously what will happen is that the policy rate has to drop so that interest rate will also come down. But for fuel to go up, the electricity to detect the pace of production, this will trigger inflation all over. Because when fuel goes up, you can imagine what the produce that comes from the farm gates to the market will be. The prices escalate, you see. So when these things happen, obviously, we are going to see the inflation rather going up than coming down.
Okay, thank you on that. Mr. Martin, please, are you still on the line? Okay, I think we've lost Mr. Martin over there. So you were talking about the fact that there's going to be job loss. We've looked at the aspects of the cost element and the profit margin in the life of the ordinary Ghanaian. We would like you to take us through this point. In terms of SMEs, how are you going to mitigate around all these price issues, the cost element in prices, so that ordinary Ghanaian would not feel this impact so much?
You see, we've seen the cedi performance some magic in a few months, and we expect it to continue the way it's going.
Okay.
If it happens that the cedi should be strengthened,
okay,
this will also improve the sector, and therefore inflation can be gagged where it is, and then things could move on. So this will also mean that prices will not soar the way we see every week or every day. Prices will go to the market and the prices are changing and all that. If the cedi remain very robust, this will also cushion some of the things that we anticipate. But if we are not careful and it goes out of hand the way it's going, then what will happen is that definitely the cedi will also detect part of the pace that we anticipate that we are going to have a higher cost in the cost of production. Because now what has happened you see, we are heading towards the festive season.
Yeah.
And when the city appreciated so much, a lot of people that will be importing between October to December, because if you have anything to import for the season, then by October, November, your product should reach town. And the clearing and the demand and the pressure that will come on the city will realize it. But this time, what has happened is that most of the importers have done their imports coming in at this end of this month, and then those that will come by end of October. So in November, where we know the pressures will be high, nobody is going to bring in any imports. So if God willing, and it happens that the pressure on the city remains within these 2 months, and we are able to contain, the Bank of Ghana is able to contain it where it is, then what will happen is that it will be a good news for the country, and then the city will start appreciating further. But as we see it now, the things that we want to bring on board, these are the things that are going to dictate the inflation higher for us to see. Because this morning, as I'm talking to you, the fuel cost is almost about 60.35 per gallon. And how can we survive this? You understand? And as it's going up, if the international oil price changes, what will happen is that they are going to go up again. And therefore, if we are not careful, by December, we'll be buying fuel at 70 cedis per gallon. And therefore, we need to be very careful the way we want to introduce some of these high tariffs and all that. If you look at the utility service like water, for instance, water is one of the key products of the beverage sector in terms of what we produce, the sweetens and all the food processing and all that, because we need water to do all these things. And that forms almost about, without the water, there's nothing that can be done. And most of these companies fall on the underground well to do their production. Because if we have to rely on ECG, on Ghana Water, what it means is that we need to go through rigorous processes of filtering this water. But one cardinal thing that nobody can run away from is the cyanide that we see in the water, the heavy metals that are in the water. If we detect this in water, we cannot use it for the beverage sector. So what it means is that we then have to rely on the underground water, which you need to process, go through certain rigorous, which is even far better than relying on the ECG. But the larger population that rely on the Ghana Water to survive, we drink, we use it to cook, we use it to do everything, we bath with it. Now, when you see what is happening within the Galamsey enclave, all the water bodies are being polluted. You would think Accra and the water is safe. But once the mining is going on in the northern sector or the upstream, what it means is that anytime there's rainfall in that area, all these poisonous chemicals that have been used wash down into the river bodies, and then they trickle down southwards. And this is what we are going to use in processing the food that we eat, bathing and drinking. When Ghana Water has refined them into purity. But the purity, the underlying factor, which is the heavy metals, are still in there for you to drink. And that is what is causing most of the kidney problems that we are seeing. So very soon, if we are not careful and we don't take pragmatic steps to ensure that this Galamsey ends today, what will happen is that in the next 2 years, you and I, we cannot rely on Ghana Water in spite of all that we are paying for. Okay. Cannot rely on it to survive. So then we have to look at the companies that are producing from underground and then those that are being imported. So the costs will then determine whether you need to survive or you cannot survive.
Not. So would you say that the entire food and beverages fraternity is at risk in terms of utility tariff hike?
We are. You see, if we don't want these businesses to collapse, then we should think about the production that we make in the sector. Now, I always say that as a government, if you lost the cost of food, where people cannot afford the cost of food to eat, then you've lost it all, in spite of all that you do. The food is the basic things that we need to be able to afford at any time. So when I have 1 cedi in my pocket, I should walk to the wachi seller and buy wachi 1 cedi to survive.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay. Yes.
But now when I go to the wachi seller and he's telling me a spoon of wachi is 7 cedis or 10 cedis, then what is the essence in surviving? So everything must be done to ensure that the cost of food rather comes down. And it starts from the beverage sector,
Okay.
where the production goes on. Now we are saying the 24-hour economy system should come in. The essence that we had was that the introduction will introduce certain aspects of manufacturers producing at certain hours of the day,
Okay.
so that they can get a very good discount of electricity tariffs. And then water, I don't know, but for electricity, which is one of the key sector, would then be rationalized for this production sector. Unfortunately, if we let this fly, what will happen is that most people cannot even produce.
So is the 24-hour economy at risk?
It is at risk based on introduction of certain things that are coming on board. So that is why we are saying we cannot absorb any more taxes, any more further introduction of higher utilities, because we have absorbed the last 2 introduction of these utilities that were brought on board. We did not increase. Okay. So at this time, even if 1 peso comes, that increase will be done. So that is why we have sounded that caution that ECG and utility or PRC should not allow ECG to have their way this time. They should let them bring on board the things that they have done when they said they were going to do, evidence of reduction in the leakages, in the corruption practices that is going on, and all the other things that we need to know. They should tell us what they have done. And then we can sit down and look at it, because all the indices are showing positive indications. So why are you coming back asking us to give you more money to do what you want to do?
Okay, so all indices are showing positive indications. So why are you coming back for additional 225% increment in utility tariff? So my question is, what should PURC and ECG and Ghana Water do in terms of fair tariff? Because we know this thing comes quarterly. Quarterly, they review the tariff we have. So what, in your point of view, what should be the fair tariff? Since you're advocating that the 225% increment is not the best, what should they do now?
You see, sometimes we just tickle ourselves and then we laugh. The actual thing, the word that you used, you said prices are supposed to be adjusted every 3 months. But per the analysis that I have done, for the past, from 2022 to June, increment has been done in every 7 months, 6 to 7 months, not 3 months. So it's a good thing. But you ask yourself, if we are living to the accolade of realistic payment of utilities.
Okay.
We said when prices go, certain things, all the indicators that I've mentioned, the inflation, the fuel costs, the other things that they bring on board, when these things are addressed properly, then we should see electricity costs either stabilizing or going down. Now, if we are true to the word, then what it means is that anytime there is any positive indication, then what you have to see in your adjustment is that it goes down.
Goes down.
It shouldn't go up.
Okay.
If the indicators go up, it should also go up, which we all know. If it comes down, it should all come down. Now look, in May, when PRC made that announcement of 14.75%, the notion was that the cedi was 16.5%. Inflation was very high. At that time, it was around 28%. And then the cedi, as I've mentioned. So, therefore, if you are making such introduction, and then after, we all saw the cedi appreciating at a fast rate. It came down to 7.5 by middle of June. 10.5 at the middle of June. And it has been there until this morning that it's gone around 12.9 or 13 cedis. You understand? Yes, still, it's lower than the 16 cedis.
Exactly.
So you don't use that 16 cedis to determine the rate that we have to pay. So we need to go down, rebasing the calculation based on the positive indicators.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
But they went ahead to implement it at 16.5%. July, when they did that increment, they just did it without telling anybody. They gave them 2.6%. So this time that they are coming, for us, what I'm asking is, what indicators are they bringing on the table? Is it the inflation, which is 11%, which hitherto was 28% and 40% by using that calculation? And then the cedi also at 13 cedis. So what will be the indicators that they are bringing on board to ask for higher increments?
Thank you so much. What will be the indicators that ECG will bring on board to ask for higher increments? I'd like to ask this question. How can PRCU actually ensure great transparency in how these tariff rates are derived?
You see, in their baskets, for the few that I know, they look at the inflation aspect of it, the currency, the fuel, and then the leakages that they experience. But all these years, when they come and ask for increment, the only time, the last 3 to 4 years now, the 2020, last 3 years, the only time that they reduced power was in 2023, December. No, or was it 2024, December, at 1.5%.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
That was the only time that they reduced electricity. Okay. All the rest has been increase at 24, 27, 18, 16, 14, and then 2.6%. So if you look at the trend at which the increment has been done, you understand?
Yeah.
And then you ask yourself, with all the baskets, the things that we have put in the basket, I expect the PURC to ask ECG, all the things that you brought on board for us to look at. These are the positive signs that has happened. So what do? The efficiency that we are talking about, have you been efficient enough since the last increment? If not, then go back and do the right thing. Because anytime that they come asking for money, they use those things. But we are also the consumers and we are asking for efficiency. And the efficiency cannot be provided, but we keep on giving them the money.
Okay.
And if you look at the way and the trend that they take their money, if you don't pay for electricity, you don't use it.
Sure.
So you pay upfront. So they have the money. It's not like they are going to borrow to come and do what they have to do. We are giving them the money. So what is happening?
Thank you so much.
And not the last, the other thing that I've also realized is that, you see, when you're buying electricity for 100 cedis, and everyone should observe it, just when you go and buy the electricity, just be checking. The very things that you are using, nothing has come to add up. For the best of it, some of them has been reduced. Because if you are using a television and it's broken down, you are not using it anymore. Your radio may be, You might not be using it. You charge and then you listen on your on your phone or other means of looking at it. So your consumption possibly might have dropped. But you keep on buying the same 100 cedis. Now, the 100 cedis that you buy, with the increment, we are supposed to get the same units that we buy of 100 cedis. Now, the 100 cedis that you buy, instead of you going up, you said, I want to maintain. But that 100 cedis is supposed to give you maybe 5 days. Unfortunately, the more you buy, your days are reduced.
Thank you so much. So the more you buy,
the more days you
are
get.
reduced. Okay, before we end this very discussion, do you think there are alternative sources of energy for the business sector?
But now we should be having renewable energies in place where it can give us a lower cost of tariff. As we've heard the government say, they are putting up the gas facility to ensure that the cost of utility comes down. We are expecting that this thing takes effect as soon as possible. No matter how long it takes, they can push it forward for it to be done so that at least we can get power to produce what we have to produce. And then those businesses who are also generating the power can also have what they want. But without that, it will be very difficult because as a country by now, knowing how our consumption pattern has been and the power that we always use, we should have by now put in place certain measures that will address these issues because we cannot rely on fuel to generate power alone because at the time that thermal plant was introduced in Ghana, fuel was the oil was around $18. Today, we are going above 70 to 100. Sometimes it goes even up to $113. So between that time and now, we should have all these things in place to ensure that we can use power efficiently. Because if you look at the other countries, that power is so cheap for them. The plants that they have in place to generate electricity were planned, and they keep on expanding. And why is it that for us, we cannot, even as we bring in on board all these producers, and the power becomes more available, the more expensive that it becomes, because it has become sort of a business for everybody to venture into it. So we need to look at it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this great submission. For the sake of our time, we just want to take your last word to viewers and to the food and beverages fraternity. What should they expect?
Yes, for us, we want a very stable system where we can do our business. And the only thing that I can say for now is that URC, we are meeting them tomorrow to discuss all this, including ECG and other producers, to discuss the way forward. But for now, we should put an end to this campaign of increasing it by 222%.
Thank you so much. So from the General Secretary of Food and Beverage Association, he said, we should put an end to the campaign of increasing tariff by 225%. He believes that ECG should go to the table with the right indicators. If it's inflation, now inflation is performing well. If it's about a city performance, now it's performing well. So what other indicators is ECG bringing on the table for the 225% increments in terms of tariff? I'll be doing this discussion with Mr. Samuel Ato Agro, the General Secretary for Food and Beverages Association of Ghana. And I've been your host for the whole 1 hour. That is, I am Clement Yaban Kwe. Keep watching Clogtv because we have amazing content for you just after this. Without much ado, I would like to say thank you so much for staying with us. And it has been all about Kokodigest Morning Show, your #1 show on all your TV handles and also in Ghana. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere.